On May 28th of 2016, a young child fell into the gorilla exhibit in the Cincinnati Zoo, leading to the killing of an ape named Harambe to save the child's life. In the following months, this gorilla has still maintained its relevance on the internet, with many asking why. Well, to better understand, we'll first have to look at the internet's interest with animals. I think it's no surprise to anyone when I say the internet as a whole loves animals. No matter if you're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, 4chan, or Tumblr, you'll likely stumble across a picture or video of a cute kitten. The main reason for this is because it's near impossible to find someone who gets irritated or offended by a picture of a cat. This means that every community of people online likes animals, no matter their political, cultural, or religious beliefs. So yes, there are things that users of Tumblr and 4chan can overall agree on. Speaking of 4chan, it's interesting how a website known for users that try to get teenage girls to cut themselves in the name of Justin Bieber and get people to place plastic bags over their heads do have a compassionate side, just rarely for humans. There have been several cases when the 4chan community spent quite a bit of time tracking down people that abused animals. This can possibly be attributed to the fact that when a human gets harmed in some way, it can be called payback or justice. But when you see someone abusing a cat, there's no excuse for it. That animal didn't do anything wrong. This sort of thinking has led to an atmosphere online that shows a lot of sympathy towards animals. One clear example of this would be Cecil, a very popular lion that people traveled to Zimbabwe to see, and was being observed and tracked by the University of Oxford. Things went wrong though when an American hunter killed the creature during a guided tour. While this would have been a tiny blip on the radar in a time before social media, with the internet a witch hunt ensued, with activists, musicians, comedians, and actors coming forward showing their disdain for trophy hunting. Soon people discovered that the identity of this hunter was a dentist from Minnesota, who was getting so much hate that he had to close down his practice. As we see, the internet has no problem going against people who mess with animals, and Cecil would not be the last example of this. As the Wikipedia page defines them, gorillas are ground-dwelling apes that inhabit the forests of Central Africa. They are the largest living primates and are also very intelligent animals, since they are known to use tools in the wild, including sticks to gauge the depth of water while crossing a swamp. Recently, one gorilla became extremely well known, but unfortunately for sad reasons. Harambe was a 17-year-old western lowland silverback gorilla that weighed 440 pounds, and was living in the Cincinnati Zoo. Things all changed for the gorilla though on May 28th of 2016 when a 3-year-old who witnesses said was talking about wanting to get into the Gorilla World enclosure was able to do just that. After the child was in, zoo workers quickly attempted to get the 3 gorillas back indoors so that they could retrieve the boy, but Harambe didn't listen. The animal proceeded to drag the child around the enclosure as well as try to prop him up as onlookers watched in terror. As Harambe became more and more agitated and disoriented, zoo officials had to make the decision to kill the gorilla, so the safety of the child would be assured. After Harambe was shot dead and the child was safe, the story started to get reported all over by news outlets nationwide. This led to the footage being spread across the internet by people amazed at the interaction this gorilla had with the boy. After these events, the child's mother posted on Facebook, "I want to thank everyone for their thoughts and prayers today. What started off as a wonderful day turned into a scary one. For those of you that have seen the news or been on social media, that was my son that fell in the gorilla exhibit at the zoo." She goes on to say, "As a society, we are quick to judge how a parent could take their eyes off their child, and if anyone knows me, I keep a tight watch on my kids. Accidents happen, but I am thankful that the right people were in the right place today." Even with this post, people were mad about the death of the gorilla and felt that the parents should be held accountable for letting their child do this. In the following days, over 500,000 people signed a Change.org petition, saying they should face consequences for their negligence. Many went as far to argue the case that they should have let the child die and the gorilla live. They reasoned this by pointing out that while there are plenty of humans, gorillas are an endangered species. Because of this, they concluded that Harambe's life was more valuable than the humans, although there's no way of knowing how genuine the people making this argument were being. Even though this may have started off as genuine outrage towards the killing of an animal, as the internet does, people started to sarcastically post about how they missed Harambe. While there were different reasons for doing this, it seemed that most were poking fun at the fact that people were so distraught over this gorilla being murdered, just because they saw a Facebook or Instagram post about it. Some of the popular posts spread around were a fake program for a Harambe memorial service, and others included him in pictures of celebrities that have died so far in 2016. It's been over 2 months and people are still jokingly mourning the loss of this gorilla.
When I woke up on the 28th of May, I looked at the TV with tears running down my cheeks. Ooh, I miss you, Harambe. I wish they took that mother's life instead.
Many may ask why this internet inside joke has lasted so long. Well, some people have pointed out that since it crosses the line of being inappropriate to a lot of people, companies aren't willing to use the joke on social media. With something like Doge, it didn't take long for businesses to use it in posts in a pathetic attempt to pander to young people, but they can't do that with Harambe. This leads to the joke not becoming overused as quickly. This one gorilla has brought out two different sides of the online community. At first, many showed compassion for the death of an animal, but secondly, it became fodder for people trying to find something dark to laugh at. So Harambe, welcome to my Internet Hall of Fame. Whether that's a good or bad thing is completely up to you.